sometimes we're running, and sometimes we're just walking. And sometimes we only see afterwards that the whole time that we thought we were running, we were actually walking. Here, but in here, it's very busy. Looks like we're doing so much, but actually, it's only happening here. It's only thoughts. A lot of screaming. But actually, there is no change happening in our lives. And this is exactly the reason what happened to me the past few weeks, because in the last video I told myself, actually, I'll see you guys in Egypt, but you didn't see me, right? I didn't see myself because I couldn't find the energy, and I couldn't find the not the energy, but I couldn't find the power to do it there, because I completely lost my connection with myself, with God. Because still this word holds so much tension for me now again. Because I also had been invited a few weeks back, just 1 week afterwards I got back from Egypt, to education, to talk as a guest speaker at an education for experts by experience. And there was a lot of people that were looking into the energy of God, but they call it like quantum field and source and all that stuff. But I got back that they resonated with everything I said, but only the word God held so much resistance for them, because they were raised in a Roman Catholic family, for instance, some people, and just other people just didn't feel the whole connection with the word God. And I can fully understand why. Because this has been a topic I've been trying to discuss with a lot of people I've been speaking to in my whole surroundings. But I couldn't find someone that actually agrees with the vision or the discovery that I had done by myself in the Bible. Because I was reading Genesis, the book of Genesis in general. And then in chapter 2, they eat from the apple, all that stuff, you know, right? Adam and Eve. And then God says we have to put them out of the Garden of Eden before they eat again from the forbidden fruit. And they will become like us. And we can't have that. And I was like, but the thing I intuitively know about God is that He's all-knowing. He's infinite. He is omniscient, you know. He knows everything. He's all around you. He's everywhere. He's in you. And for me, the things that I discovered on ayahuasca, DMT, mushrooms and all that stuff, because you can tap into both fields, light and dark, of course. So it's something to be very careful with. And I don't even know if it's the whole purpose of God and the whole meaning that you are, that it's smart to use them or actually just interact with them. But then I'm asking myself, why is everything in the world just a tool, you know? You have like a knife and you can use it to make food with, or you could kill somebody. So that's maybe a little bit less nice. So maybe it's the same with mushrooms and all that stuff. But the thing that I saw there is that I experienced God and the whole thing, fear God, and it's so big that you feel like nothing. Your whole ego dies. Eventually you'll see that you've actually created this whole dream for yourself, and that we're all one. We're all an illusion of the same mind experiencing itself. But yeah, the point for me was that in the Bible, they're talking about we. And that the Word of God is being used by a personality in the Old Testament that actually doesn't sound like God at all. Because he's jealous, he needs to punish, he needs to reward if you listen to him. You need to sacrifice, like animal sacrifice and all that stuff, like rituals, blood rituals. Sometimes I have to look around because it's very dark, and sometimes I hear footsteps or something moving in the bushes, like maybe a rabbit or whatever. Yeah, so that's sometimes I don't even have to explain myself, but I'm still training myself to do this shit, right? And the thing that I noticed there is it linked to me to a very specific story. I was asking myself, how could it be possible that God made such a personality transition in only one book in a few thousand of years? And that the people in the church, which I go through and I derive a lot of positive energy from, but a lot of people are still thinking very dogmatic. And I feel that this is exactly the purpose of this channel, to bridge that gap, to make the connection between all the different religions, all the different beliefs, all the different esoteric meanings of what we all discover. And I have a deep feeling inside of myself here that this movement is about putting the puzzle together, to bring all the people together in a good way, not in a universal CBDC AI control system, because they're also trying to introduce a one world religion. But you can recognize a tree by its fruit, right? If it feels like more expansion, you can think for yourself, it's putting all things together instead of eliminating all things and only one dogmatic thing. Like AI is the truth, then you know which side you're choosing for. And the thing that I see here is that this dogmatic thinking in the church about, then they're telling you, he's talking about we because it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, yeah, but these things are just like a part of the bigger thing of what God is actually. You have God, the source, and there comes these lower forces from when it's split into three in a Triforce, right? But you can't say that's God talking to itself, because God is all-knowing, omniscient and all that stuff. So when you dive deeper, because I knew that there's just a deep feeling inside of me, something doesn't resonate here, right? So I started to look deeper. So the Ethiopian Bible also came onto my path, and also the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I already knew them for maybe 9 years before I started to find God in this church, because I was already connecting with a source or the universe, or however you want to call it, but I didn't know the framework. And I have to give them that one, that these people in the church have like a very structured system. They have like tricks, like cheat codes for the Matrix, that every time when you lose yourself, Jesus is the cheat code, right? Because you just look at him, he was a human that already did it, and he showed us the way. That's why he said, I am the way. But they make out of it, it's only Jesus, and if you don't follow Jesus, then you will be put into hell. And that's where all the dogmatic thinking comes, and where a lot of people with a little bit more different thinking, let's just put it that way, feel like put off. And I fully understand that they close the door, because then it becomes very church-like. And this is installed in the collective consciousness, because people know, they remember deep inside, don't trust the church guys. These guys will fuck you up. And they actually did, right? With the whole crusade, traveling all around the world to bring the word of God, but instead of that, take all their land and even let them pay for all the infrastructure like water and food and all that stuff that they already had. So what happened? The devil just took something beautiful and made it into a weapon, like he does with everything, right? It's just polarization. You take something beautiful and then you put it, externalize it, or you extreme it to such a degree, to the left or the right, that it becomes out of balance, and then it immediately becomes something of the devil instead of something of God, right? because God is just balance. It's just the source where we came from. And the thing that I learned with this is that I found, listening to the Ethiopian Bible, listening to the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and I again came to read and to listen to the Nag Hammadi scriptures of the story of the secret book of John, where he's literally speaking about Yaldabaoth. I feel even resistance to call this name, right? And his servants, which you call Archons. Because I've already discovered the discovery of the Archons many years back, but I was unable to speak with anyone about it because it's such a loaded, heavy topic. People just can't stomach or deal with the fact that where there's angels, there's also devils. And where there's light, there's also darkness, right? Look around you. There's darkness all around us, all the time. But we only like to sit comfortable in our houses, in the light, with the heater on and all that stuff. But suddenly when the moment comes to put your big boy pants on, to experience the light, you also have to go through the darkness, because otherwise you can't see the light. It's like putting a white painting with only white on a white wall. You will see nothing at all. But people just do the cognitive dissonance thing, right? Like the ostrich. They put the hat into the sand and they don't want to look at it. But the raw truth is that the earliest of the earliest Christians, the Gnostics, were speaking about exactly this. And this is why the Bible and the whole book has been changed 300 to 400 after Christ. Because the story that Christ told was something way different than we're speaking about now. Actually, the real story that Christ told us was exactly the story that the New Age thing is telling, without the contamination in it, right? Because that's what the devil does everywhere, so also with New Age. And what they were speaking about is the fall of Sophia. So, we just live in an energetic structured world. And for our human minds, if we never heard about this and we never looked into this stuff, it's very hard to comprehend and to understand, right? I still don't understand it. So this thing is limited, right? But I feel something resonates. So I don't have to know everything, or even anything, maybe. I just have to ask. Here, please give me the knowledge. Please give me the insight. Let me see clearly what is truth and what is lies. What are lies? Please let me see in the darkness so I can walk here and don't fall flat on my face because I don't see a thing. Help me to walk in your spirit and into your guidance. Because this flashlight is shining right in my eye and I see nothing. And actually, it's not like magic happens, but something in your consciousness changes and you find a solution. Like maybe if I hold the camera a little bit farther back, I can see a little bit more. I still have the light on my face, so it will probably look okay because it's so dark. But I can still see the path sometimes, and it's fine however it happens. So we have to ask for guidance. We have to tap into the higher power, because there's also darkness, and this darkness has gotten a personality in the past. And it's all energy in the end, guys. It's all part of the same video game. We all created this for ourselves, so we don't have to become scared of it and to think it will take us over and it's only evil and it will go only bad. Sometimes I still have that feeling. Last week, when the government sent me a pamphlet to prepare for a war in Europe, right? It's not something nice to hear. But we just try to see it with consciousness about whatever is happening and ask the question, why is this happening? What can I learn from this? What is the invitation? And afterwards, don't only ask, you have to listen, and then in the end you also have to do stuff with it. Because that was the thing that was stagnating me for the last 3 weeks. Because I was not asking anymore. I lost connection. The thing to learn about the Archons is that the old God from the Old Testament is not the God from the New Testament, guys. And this is the whole reason, the lie that they put onto the name of God. Because God has many names. Has gotten also many names over the years. And the thing to know is that you actually know the tree by its fruits. If you need sacrifice, you're not the infinite source of the source. But this doesn't say anything about the message of Jesus Christ and why he came here. And the thing that he showed us is not like the people tell me in the church, like, yeah, Christ has paid with his blood and all that stuff. For me, this also creates a lot of questions, actually. It was resistance, but then I realized, these are just questions because something just feels like they're putting it in different words or different terms. I would just word it a little bit differently. The question is, why is this important, right? Why am I telling you this message, and what can you do with it? The thing is, I have been searching in spirituality for 9+ years. And the thing was, I kept searching. Only searching. And I didn't find the conclusion or the answer. I did ayahuasca, I did mushrooms, I meditated, I journaled, I went to all the professionals in the Western system. I traveled to many different countries. I watched the whole of YouTube. I bought many courses. I had so many holistic therapists and all that stuff. I tried everything. Qigong, Tai Chi, what you can name it. Yoga, breath work. I was doing rapé and I was hitting a drum and all that stuff, but it didn't bring me the solution that I was looking for, because I didn't even know what I was looking for. And far deep down in myself, I always told myself, someday I will read the Bible. But the only thing I saw was a number of 2,000 pages, and I was like, oh, I have to read the whole thing. And I was also like, this thing has been influenced and written by the church, so I'm not even gonna look at it. And I recognized this energy and this whole mindset with the people I spoke to, many people. Because their face goes something like this. No, not the Bible. And I was like, that was how I was looking a few years back. And this is how I still look on some moments when I react out of self-defense, because my ego is actually scared of something and is trying to hold a distance between something I think I know, but I don't actually know because I haven't experienced it, right? There's a lot of people scared of many things. That the people are scared the most are the people that didn't try it at all. Oh, it's so dark, I'm going again. I would like to have a different room or a country with a little bit more light in the evening. But last time we learned something, right? Sometimes when you fall, sometimes it's better to stand still for a while. So I recognized my own resistance by not willing to read the Bible. I saw that resistance in other people too. It was a reflection of me of the past, like, maybe I should have given it a chance. And the thing that it brought me was very simply, I was starting to read stuff and I noticed that, yes, it's true. They manipulated the Bible, but they didn't succeed. They didn't succeed well enough. They translated it. They only included 27 books, but it's a very nice introduction to read the story of Christ and to just see the words that he spoke, because there's still truth in it. And the thing is, when you're a very high sensitive person, which are most often the persons and the people who are scared to read this thing, because what do you have to be afraid for? You're just reading a book, but it's only the thinking that you know better, that you never give it a chance that it actually deserves. You just read one of the oldest books, which actually holds a lot of truth and a lot of value for us. And the thing that's written in there is an invitation to look at our history and to actually dive into what God actually is and how different people have experienced his presence or his energy during this lifetime, right? And you can get to know a little bit more about life. It's like a manual. It's like a manual for living life, because we all come here, and many times I've wished before that I would have gotten like a manual to know how this actually works just a little bit, because most often we get, just overwhelmed by all the information and we don't know what to do with it, right? And if you're sensitive enough, you will see and you will know, and you will feel what resonates and where it doesn't resonate. And then you can just look it up, the meaning behind the words. Just look up the Old Greek, look up the Old Hebrew, and you will find the source of the source. And you will see that actually everything is correct. It's just only put in different words. And the thing is that if you keep looking, you keep searching, and you also keep looking through the different books, like the Ethiopian Bible and also the Nag Hammadi scriptures, you will find even deeper stuff that actually bring you to the source of the source. Because the people in the church are not even trying or willing to do this, because they're also scared of what they're going to find. But if you follow just the heart, yes, you can be defeated, right? Because it's an infinite source of love. It's an infinite source of consciousness. If you just pray to be in the light of the light of the light, and you proclaim that the darkness that you recognize, that the darkness is also always transmuted into light when darkness comes into light. For instance, here is darkness. When I do this, there will be light, right? And the darkness can't overshadow the light, because it's only possible for the darkness to exist in the absence of light. This is the same way a fridge works. There can only be cold in the absence of heat. So, a very long message again. But the most important thing I wanted to bring across is, first, stay in connection. Keep talking to God, even when He feels absent. That was my biggest lesson for the last 3 weeks. I have to keep asking, I have to keep inviting Him, because God is like a gentleman, then they call it. But I would just say, like, it's the source we have to connect with. We have to plug our iPhone into the socket to actually get like electricity, because otherwise it will just run out of battery, and you can just plug it in, but you have to do it. Nobody else will do it for you. He will not do it for you. You have to plug it in, because you have free will. And you will have to keep doing this until the end of your life, and even maybe then afterwards. I don't know, but I have a feeling like it's just a natural law. We have to choose with our own free will on what to do. It's the biggest gift, but also the biggest responsibility that we've got. Secondly, God in the Old Testament, just read Genesis, is talking about Yahweh or Elohim, which actually means the plural of Eloah, which is God's. It's not God, but it's God's, with a lowercase g. Because these are the guys that they are speaking about in the secret book of John and the Nag Hammadi scriptures that they actually found very profoundly in the year 1945, just after the Second World War. Very coincidental, right? Because something bad happens and suddenly such knowledge just surfaces, like from, I don't know, it's from 300 years after Christ, so it was like 1900 years. No, a little bit less, 1600 years, but it's a lot of time, right? And what was written here is much deeper mystical stuff, everything that the church fathers in the beginning left out because it was too mystical and it spoke too symbolically, which would give us the deeper meaning about and behind this reality, because it's not physical, guys. The whole thing about it is that it's only energy, and that why do you think that all the satanistic people around the world are always working with symbols? They're only working with symbols. It's always symbolical communication, because it holds a lot of power. For instance, when you look on WhatsApp, right, and you open up the cog menu where you have all the options and all the settings, if you have to read all the text to find the right option, it takes a lot of time. But if you look at the pictograms, you will find it way more easily, because it holds so much more information. And this is exactly the same thing that the Egyptians did. They used hieroglyphs. But the downside of this is that it's very interpretable. My English is just, my God, give me the power of the English. It's very interpretable. So my third and last point is, the language, yeah? Just watch your language and see which fruits you will create in your own life. When I started to speak too much with ChatGPT again and to ask him for guidance on my vacation, and I was too much influenced by the things that were happening around me, like different culture, different people trying to scam you in Egypt, a very harsh culture, also very loving with the Inshallah principle, but also very in your space kind of energy. Very different than we have here from what we have here in Europe. They just try to get the money out of you that they can, and they're just surviving, right? So it's not even about judging them, but it's very intense for the people from Europe that actually come there. With every tourist that I spoke, they told me the same story. It was very intense. But my lesson there was, because I like to look at it that way, is to see why did this happen to me. And the thing that I found was that I needed to become stronger. Love is not only about being nice, it's also something to stand up for yourself. It's not about just being nice and giving all your money, and in the end you don't have any money to go back home. Because if I would have given them everything, that was the outcome that I was going to get. And this was not about only being loving, this was just about being a pussy. You know? I didn't take the responsibility to say no to them, because they were not always being nice to me. They were just trying to get the money out of me. And in the first 4 days I didn't know how to handle that, because I was just willing to give them the money because I was like, I have enough, and these people probably have like nothing, so I can just give them a little bit, like 20 euros here, 20 euros there, but it was a lot of money. And then after 4 days it went pretty quickly. After the first day, actually, I came to the insight like, okay, this has been enough. This is 100 euros of vrijwilligheid, hoe zeg je dat? Like free money giving to people, like charity. Yes, exactly. My English is just amazing. And yes, I feel so much resistance in myself now. I just literally want to put this camera away and delete this whole video, because actually that is the third insight. Break through your own resistance. Whatever happens to you, 3 weeks of not recording a video, walking in the dark, not picking up the things that you promised yourself, it's never too late. If you can't speak English and you're constantly stumbling over your own words, it's not about the result, it's about the practice. It's just about the promise that you made to yourself, which actually is the deepest thing that you recognize in yourself, the promise that you made to God. And observe your feelings, observe your thoughts. You are not your feelings, you are not your thoughts. And this is the part where it comes in that I actually feel that Christianity doesn't have all the answers. It has the answer for me to connect with the heart. But the thing that I learned with Buddhism and with Vipassana and doing 2 days, 10 days silent retreats of only meditating for 10 hours a day was the skill of observing, of Vipassana, seeing things as they really are. And there I really came to notice that I had a mushroom experience for multiple days by just sitting in a room in silence and doing nothing. Weird, huh? So that taught me something, that this is actually the state what we naturally are meant to embody. And this was actually also the state that Jesus was in while he was performing all those miracles, if we can take it literally, because I'm also still discovering that myself. But I also already know deep inside what the answer is, but this one is not sure enough because I didn't see the proof, right? This one I, not this one I. I like this one a little bit more. This one gives me peace and gives me trust and gives me a nice, easy life. And this one makes it very, very hard and makes it so that I sometimes don't like to live anymore when I go too much into this one. And also talking too much to ChatGPT, which I hear a lot. the last few weeks. And Jesus, yes, that was what I was speaking about. Jesus was also, I have discovered that Jesus traveled to India. He traveled to Tibet. He was actually a world traveler. He wasn't being just a guy who was being like a guy who worked with wood, you know, like a builder. I don't know the name at this moment. Sometimes my English muscle doesn't work, but you get what I mean, right? The word, you can put it into the comments. It's just amazing. The devil is trying to test me also, right? It's not only the devil, but my subconsciously. Because what happens is I start to doubt myself, and then I lose the words because I feel like I'm under pressure to perform on this video, but it doesn't matter. That's just to show you how the process goes, and you're not alone, because I know there's more people feeling like this. Jesus was traveling to India. He was traveling to Tibet. There was people actually finding stories about him there, and also in the Quran, because in Egypt I spoke also with people, with Islamic people. I want to walk home a little bit. That they told me that in the Quran, the real Muslims have to accept and to follow and to respect all of the prophets, which Muhammad, of course, was a prophet, but they also see Jesus and Noah and Moses and all these guys as prophets. But the most beautiful thing is that in the Hadith, which is a different book, which I didn't look into thus far, they're speaking about the recoming, the coming back of Jesus, but they call it Isa. And the thing that I noticed is that in India, they also have a person that they call Isa. Very coincidental, right? Again. But they dismiss all the stories about Jesus coming to India as conspiracy theories and as fake, without theological proof. Because they don't want the whole story to come together. Because they want you to believe AI, and the AI is going to know everything, and he's going to be God eventually. This is the system of the beast that they're building. But lo and behold, I warn you already now, stay conscious. Don't believe nothing. Don't even believe me. Only start to research yourself. Ask for truth and you will find it. I am asking myself to stay on the path in the darkness. Thank you. Again. And the thing is that Jesus was so good at observing that he could hang on a cross. He was being stabbed into his side, and he was still saying, "Father, please don't judge them. They don't know what they're doing." He could still stay in love. He was fully in disconnection. He fully lost the connection with the Father, but he could still stay in love. Why? How did he learn this? Because he was actually a carpenter, right? Hello. Hi. We see light again. He was a carpenter, right? How could a carpenter that was practicing carpenting for 18 plus years be so good at what he did? He was just born that way, right? It's only for Jesus. We could never do that. But actually this guy told us, you will do even greater things than me. Ye are all gods. Weird, right? So the guy that was actually doing this stuff told us that he believes in us more than the people who are telling us the stories now believe actually in us or themselves or whatever, what the whole story is. It's all the same, right? If you don't believe in yourself, you can also not believe in other people. And he was telling us, follow me, right? But he didn't mean it literally. He meant it symbolically. So I can tell you one thing. Jesus was not reading the Bible all day. And he was not trying to follow Jesus all day, right? He found the Father. He found the connection in himself, because he told you, the kingdom of God is living inside of you, which also means symbolically, you have the God spark within you. You are the emanation of the all, just a small reflection of that contains everything. And this is the big invitation. Where was Jesus 18 years long? Which was left out of the Bible? Why is the Ethiopian Bible considered something alternative and a lie? And why did they also create like different things, like he was also in America and I don't know. I have to look into that stuff still. But you can feel for yourself what resonates, and you will feel what's true. And Jesus was a very good teacher of non-duality, of observing, of infinite love. These are all Buddhist and Tibetan and Indian esoteric traditions. They already were doing this for many years. And also the Buddha, who created the Vipassana technique, lived 500 years before Jesus. So the chances are very big that he encountered this method of working and dissecting themselves to install the principle of know thyself. And this is also the thing that you read in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. It's exactly written here that if you can make the male and the female parts inside of you one whole, you become like a kid, and you can come to the Father, just the source of the source where you came from, and you will find the inner knowingness in yourself, which puts you in the whole vibration of the God frequency, just the source frequency, and you will be one with the Father. And then is the thing happening, what you see in the Matrix. Neo, he just knows, I am the one. He says the same thing as Jesus. I am the one, he knows. And when he comes to the oracle and he asks, am I the one? She says, no, you're not the one. But afterwards he says, I know, I am the one. He becomes the one. And he can suddenly do stuff that was impossible to do before. And then it's very hard to understand because it's from here. But deep down inside of your heart, you feel that something happens to you when you hear this story. You know that it's true and it's possible. We're just living in a tiny band of frequency, like David Icke likes to put it. But it's not like the rest is impossible or unreachable, because UV light, we can't see it, but bees can. So actually that's a proof of something that is actually there. We're not able to grasp it or see it. And we've been programmed by the system, by the whole society, by the government and all that indoctrination system, that only the thing that they taught us is true and possible. But that's only the beginning, because it's only this narrow band of a frequency, while actually frequency is infinite. So I can tell you, angels can fly eventually without a physical body. And we also know that we're ascending in different dimensions, because the universe is constantly moving and constantly expanding. So actually standing still is death, is going down. So the thing that you know then is that we're already moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension, where people can fly, whatever, just instantly create and all that stuff. But we're still in the training grounds, because we're still distilling the love and the creation power in ourselves. Because now if you have a negative thought about a demon and you could instantly create it, it would be there instantly, right? But then I would just decreate it again, because I already feel that energy, because it can't go that fast if you ascend in consciousness. So look deeper into this stuff, guys. It's all linked together. I will continue on this story because I feel that this is actually the most important thing to couple. The conspiracy theories, because all these things are pretty important to hear them if you're not even if you're interested in them. It's very important to discover the truth, to know what reality you are living in, to know what the manual is of the machine you're interfering with, so you can actually be the driver instead of that you're just being driven. It's very important to take back the remote control, because otherwise other people will start to decide for you what is going to happen in your life. And I assure you, it's better to make a conscious choice yourself and to be still able to choose for love or for fear. You have the power, you have the consciousness, you've been created into the image of the Creator, and you're connected to infinite love. You're not separate. That's just a temporary illusion. And you can choose who you want to be in this movie, in this video game, in this in this simulation. Because a lot of people don't believe it's a simulation. But I can tell you, if you had the non-duality experiences inside of yourself, like DMT, like ayahuasca, like mushrooms, or deep meditation, it's all the same stuff, guys, then you come to the conclusion that it's actually just a simulation of your own godly thinking mind, and that we are actually all one and the same. And the question is, do you want to put in the work and the effort to follow your heart, or do you think you already know everything? And then you will see where those two paths lead you. One is going down the dimensions into the lower frequencies, and one is going up to ascend to the higher frequencies. Call it heaven, call it hell, call it Maya, call it, did the Buddhas call it? Mara. Call it darkness, or call it the astral planes, or whatever. It's all the same stuff, guys. See you next week. Thank you again for listening to my long stories, if you've listened to it. And yeah, goodbye. Thank you. I feel better already by following my heart instead of my head. Amen. Amun. Atum.